Hi everyone, welcome to week 9. As you already know, or may have been counting down, we are halfway through the semester now. Yay! Not that I want to get rid of you. I love teaching this class. I love having you all as students. But I know as students, you kind of reach that cement wall, and I think as instructors, we reach it too. Um, Not much in the way of breaks coming up other than Thanksgiving. So if we can get through the next 4 weeks, I think after that it's pretty much home free after that. So something to look forward to. We are going to be discussing control of infectious diseases this week. And we've talked a lot about the non-communicable diseases that are prevalent in society, such as heart disease, obesity, cancer, diabetes. But we tend not to think a lot about infectious disease until it's cold and flu season or until there's some kind of outbreak or panic like Zika, Ebola, H1N1, bird flu, swine flu. How many of you remember any of those? How about our regional outbreaks of E. coli and Salmonella? So we're very fortunate in the United States in that fear of these diseases is usually pretty short-lived and rare and easily controlled. We have so many methods in place to control certain outbreaks from spreading too far, like food recalls and things of that nature. But in other parts of the world, these epidemics, such as Ebola or Zika, can be devastating and result in the loss of thousands, if not millions, of lives. So we've had some discussion about some infectious diseases, but let's just review a few more that are common. And of course, we have to cover STIs. Unfortunately, they are still very common in our society, as well as those in developing countries. So those include chlamydia, gonorrhea, hepatitis B, herpes, and HIV/AIDS. And then we have the respiratory diseases. Tuberculosis is not terribly common where we're at, but in developing countries, it may still be very common. And then whooping cough, we've seen an increase in incidence in that over recent years. Even though there is an immunization in place, as discussed in previous weeks, we have many people that choose not to immunize. So that may be contributing to the increased incidence of this particular infectious disease. And then we've got our really common influenza and rhinitis, which is the common cold. So agents of infection, as discussed in previous chapters, there are not so many. There's a limited number of pathogens that can actually cause infection. And I'm actually going to start at the bottom, so we'll start with fungi. These are your molds, things like that. Now, a lot of people that may have a mold sensitivity, it can exacerbate a respiratory illness that they have or a respiratory disease that they may have. So you'll frequently see people with asthma who may have a very strong reaction to molds and mildews. At the same time, we can't limit that infectious disease or that reaction to mold only to those with a respiratory condition, because mold is very dangerous in itself. I don't know if you watch any home improvement shows or if you've done any home improvement yourself, but black mold is just the devil. You can't have that in your house. It's horrible on one's health. Then we have parasites. So that's just like it sounds. That's your insects, flies, fleas, ticks, mosquitoes. Viruses would be those very much like our colds. It's a cold virus. That's why an antibiotic does not work for it. And then we have bacteria. So disease transmission modes. We have direct transmission, which is how we catch colds and flu. This is where primary preventions such as hand washing and even, I will say, secondary prevention such as immunizations come into place. Direct contact is when, for instance, someone would sneeze or cough, and those droplets are airborne, and for some reason you're near that person, you may, be studying, rub your eyes, rub your nose, boom, you've been exposed to the virus. Especially as we deplete our immune systems, we're not sleeping right, we're not eating right. I'm like the queen of that. It just makes us a very invitable host for some of those viruses. The next one is fecal oral, just like it sounds. Well, no, it sounds like you're eating poop, but it really is when you are in contact with something that has been contaminated either by the feces of animals or humans. This is where sanitation and clean water, everything really kind of ties back to previous chapters, which is the great thing about this textbook. So this particular mode of transportation can be prevented by clean water sources and good sanitation facilities. Then we have the mother to child mode of transportation. Sorry, I'm really scattered today. That is passed from the mother to the child through breast milk. And then we have the vector-borne mode of transportation, and this is where those nasty insects come into play. So Lyme disease, malaria, ticks and mosquitoes are the ones that spread these nasty little diseases. So again, going back to our environmental health and our environment, such as shelter, or having adequate shelter with screens or even mosquito nets to prevent the spread of these vector-borne illnesses. You can see how everything kind of is starting to tie together now. So prevention of disease, obviously, I'm going to start with control of environment since I was just talking about that. So this is where, putting screens up or using mosquito nets, insecticide-treated mosquito nets, controlling that environment to prevent the spread of diseases from known agents like the mosquitoes, like the ticks. Behavior change. It has to be at the top of the list because this is one of those things, so many of these infectious diseases, if not all of them, could be prevented by behavior change, especially within a developed country such as the United States. I don't want to say that we could prevent all colds and flu, but certainly we could, by utilizing primary prevention methods, we could probably decrease the incidence of it. Vaccinations, huge prevention in infectious disease. As we get into future chapters, we'll talk about elimination and eradication of diseases and how immunizations have been a key part of that. Drug therapies, so infectious diseases like HIV/AIDS, how we've developed specific drug therapies that may not cure the disease, but delay the exacerbation of symptoms, delay the progress of the disease. And then we have surveillance. So we're really just this is where the epidemiologists come into play and keeping track of what kind of outbreaks that are occurring where and what's causing them, and really tracing that path back to whatever that agent was. So that is it as far as the PowerPoint is concerned. I would really like you to take a look at page 197, table 9-1. It has a really extensive table of diarrheal and foodborne diseases. And this one, I think this is where a lot of prevention methods can be used, cooking food properly, making sure that you're rinsing your food, especially our fruits and vegetables if you're not growing your own. But even if you're growing your own, making sure that they're free from pesticides, free from fecal matter. If you go to page 199, there is a table with infectious respiratory diseases. Page 201 has examples of vector-borne, so those insect spread diseases. So pretty extensive within the text. I think I have used this textbook now for 3 semesters, and I think each semester I get a little bit happier with it. So that is it for this week. Workload for this week is going to be very light. We will have our discussion questions, and then we will have matching questions this week. I wanted to take it down a notch since you had so much writing last week. I have updated the course schedule for assignments. So if you take a look at that, the next 4 weeks, I believe that is week 9, 10, 11, and 12 are now highlighted with the assignments fleshed out in there. As you can see by that, we do have quite a bit of writing coming up in the next 4 weeks, but like I said, if we can get through these next 4 weeks, it really lightens up in those last 4. So just bear with me. We're chugging along. I think we're doing a great job. I really like how engaged everyone's been, and the honesty and thought-provoking papers and posts that I've seen. I just cannot tell you how pleased I am. So thank you all. Keep up the good work, and I will talk to you all next week. Have a great week, and as always, any questions, feel free to post them in the Ask My Instructor or by email. Thanks, guys.